anyway, I had to go to county lockup 30 days, and I got out, and my friends, like any good military friend should do, said, "You want to like pay rent or get food? No, let's throw a party and invite whores and have a gangbang."
Hey, welcome back to Four for the Road, everybody. I'm your host, Punk Rock. We got Drifter with us right now. Dave will be with us shortly. But I do want to take this minute to check in with Drifter. It's been a little while since we've seen him on the show. We just want to see how he's doing, man. How you been, Jim? What you been up to?
I've been really good, man. Super busy with work and club life. Had
Wait,
back
you're
to
a
back.
motorcycle club?
Yeah, but don't tell anybody, okay? It's a
Oh,
secret.
that's gross, dude.
Yeah. So back to back anniversary parties for my club, 2 different chapters, and
Nice.
man, that was a hoot nanny. Let me tell you,
Yeah, I
them
heard you.
boys know how
You
to
had to,
party.
heard you had to suffer a lot for your club there.
It was difficult, you know. I do the hard choices for my club.
You
When
know
you
what?
have to go to the party, you have to go to the
That's a level of
party.
dedication I aspire to have one day.
Oh, it was great. It was great. One chapter down in North Carolina. They have such an awesome setup. They've got their own Irish pub that they built. It's called Sully's, and it's just fucking awesome. I love that place. And then our guys up in chapter 2, they took over a whole restaurant, a whole pub, and it's just awesome. Clubs coming out of the woodworks to come celebrate with them. Had a blast every time I do.
Fuck yeah, man. That's rad. That's good to hear. And then, so you said that was in South Carolina, or they were from South Carolina?
North Carolina. There's a
Oh,
chapter down in North Carolina,
okay.
Ooh,
and it's Dave.
God,
look
look,
at this gun show going on.
yeah, dude. Fucking water pistols up in this bitch. You know what I'm saying?
For those of you that can't see, Ken is shirtless with a bikini bottom.
Yeah, dude. Tits out, man. Let's go. So we're just gonna let Dave catch up here.
Yeah.
There he is, man.
He
Look at
looks
you
like
looking like
somebody
an.
one of the. He looks like one of those guys in the call center. You know, hello, I'm here to help you.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, look at this fucking 911 operator, man.
I was gonna draw like a penis on the board, but I was like, with my luck, dude, then somebody will like walk through it. It's almost quitting time, so the office should be dead here shortly. But I was like, with my luck, somebody will decide to come
Oh, you're
through
still at
here or
work?
something like that. Yeah, yeah. No, because Ken always wants to do this stuff at like midnight. I'm like, I'm trying to take my pants off, eat popcorn at home. Like, I don't want to be worried about a podcast,
I'm just trying to eat popcorn out of your belly button.
dude. So
Okay, gross. Yeah, there we are.
Have you tried it?
No, I have
Then
not.
don't fucking say anything about it until you try it.
so we have Drifter right up until 6 o'clock, or
Yeah,
he has to be gone before 6 o'clock.
right
About
up
6.
until 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's just fucking roll into it, man. You want to talk about Four for the Road day 1? What's up?
I think we've definitely gone through some changes. I was just thinking about this the other day, and we had some folks lined up that we wanted to bring on and stuff like that, and that seems to kind of always be in flux. And we have some really awesome guests, but unfortunately we have to wait for them to or not unfortunately, but understandably, we have to wait for them to get their authorization or clearance or whatever. Because we don't want to spill any club business. But I think there's a lot of good, cool, awesome dudes, whatever you want to say in this life, um, that are thinking about or trying to give us their time, and we appreciate the hell out of that. But I think while we wait for that, kind of coming back to day one, week one, was a good starting point, especially with we lost half of our catalog. I think the internet's the Thunderdome, and it's ever changing and it's ever evolving. And I think restating what our mission purpose is or what we enjoy about this, I think is beneficial or helpful. So I called it, yeah, Four for the Road, day one.
See, so I was confused. I was like, does he want to talk about like where we've come from and where we're at? Does he want to talk about no, does he want to revisit the first lost episode, which was Mount MC More?
I do
Uh,
want to do that one. I want to do. I have particulars for that one. Like we have to do it with Jim. We have to be able to really research that one because there's so many different directions to go with Mount MC more and who could be on there. And then not only that, but justifying your position because internet folks are gonna love to take that apart and like, oh, that person belongs. I hate the club that person belongs to.
Oh,
And I'm like,
not
okay,
just
well, that was 60 years ago. And I also don't give a shit. But I mean,
Not
other
just
than
other
that,
listeners, but defending it from each other.
and I think too, like,
I
there's
got the easiest defense.
obviously there's plenty of content to choose from on the internet, and Four for the Road is not here to tell you why you should pick Club A versus Club B. But I heard somewhere that, like, you shouldn't talk about it, because you represent that club or you represent that nation, or whatever. And I agree to a point that you're not speaking specifically on club business. And I will give somebody, I don't know, a Four for the Road T-shirt if they can find an instance where we talked about that, because they can't do it. The specific business about it, no, they can't do it. But
And
I
he's
think that
serious
it
about that shit.
I think that there needs to be a conversation about the culture, and that's a difference. And I think it's easy for some folks to get out there and say that's club business. No, there's a difference between club business and the culture. And I think our area has always been the culture. And people should be having a fucking conversation about the culture. Don't waste Jim's time coming up to him and hanging around and looking at his club if you're not in love with the culture, or at least interested in it. Like, that's how you're going to learn shit. And there should be a platform to have that discussion. This is not fucking, I don't even know what a good metaphor is, but it's not that. Whatever that good metaphor is, it's not that. All right. This isn't some underground secret society. There are things that are very much secret, or the mythology to each own club, and we respect the hell out of that. But the culture is different than that specific club, and there absolutely should be a conversation about the culture. And I think people that criticize us or criticize podcasts in general about motorcycle clubs, they don't understand the difference.
Well, a lot of the criticism that we see coming towards Four for the Road are from other social media platforms as well, whether it's YouTube or another Facebook page, whatever. And I mean, one, I find that hypocritical. Like, you can't say, "Oh, well, you can't talk about that," while you talk about that, and then you also can't really, like, dude, like, we don't bash people that first don't call us out. Um,
I'd say we absolutely do bash people,
A little
but
bit.
yeah, but typically they have called us out first.
yeah,
I think we've launched maybe one shot at somebody that was just I think he was just generally just shitting on people, and we're like, "We're not that."
like I
And,
said, if
you
you
know,
can
I'm really
find an instance where we have given away club trade secrets or discussed businesses of who's at whose throat, or I'll I'll mail you two t-shirts. Like, if you can find it, let me know, because we don't do that. Like, there is a difference between talking about specifics within a club and the culture and the nature of clubs. And that, I think, again, coming back to Four for the Road day one, has always been the mission statement of Four for the Road, and especially us three here, Drifter especially, the love of the culture. And people say, well, you're dodging hard topics. No, we're not. We've discussed everything that's negative about the life. We just don't use specifics. And I'm sorry if dodging it is not bringing up the latest newswire thing, but that's not our bit. We want to talk about the good more than the negative. And so if you listen to 20 episodes of ours and it talks about positive interactions, and you miss the one where we discuss the hard or the negative, that's not my problem. I don't give a shit. Pay attention more.
dude, 100%, man. And it's not like yeah, I like how you put that. Like, we do bring up the negatives, but it does sound very general. Sounds very obviously nothing specific, because then we are pointing out. Now, there was one episode that we did, when we were speaking about an incident that happened in Florida, and we were using it as an example. One, because it was already out there. The media was already talking about it. Other people were already talking about it. Clubs were talking about it. Other social media forums were talking about it. So it's not like we were essentially just jumping on the bandwagon. But then we didn't mention club names. We didn't mention the men's names that were involved in there.
You can't talk about club business if you don't give up club names. So I don't. So again, if you're criticizing somebody for talking about club business, I'm going to need you to show me specifically on that doll where they touched you, because otherwise, we're not doing it.
Let's
Well, there you
just
go.
let's just call it
30
out.
seconds are null.
What's really going on here? Okay, so when we all started writing several years ago, there wasn't that much out there for protocol pages, MC culture. It really was us, right? Now it's super crowded. So when it gets super crowded, people start pushing. So really, the only criticism, just like Punk Rock said, is from other pages and other platforms, only because they're trying to make a little spot for themselves, and that's it.
And I would say too, look at who's making money. Look who's
Exactly.
making money and who isn't. That'll tell you who loves the culture and who's here to profit off the culture. And I'm not saying that guys that are making money don't love the culture too, but take a good hard look at who's monetizing it and who's just doing it because they're passionate. If all I
Right.
ever get from Four for the Road is riding with Drifter, I've been paid 10 times over then.
So what
Yeah,
the fuck am I?
maybe eight, maybe eight.
What the fuck am I? But you know, I'm 100% trying to profit off the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, shut up.
If you go
As
to
he rubs his
blacktailsupply.com,
Actually, I was looking at that. What logo is that?
that's mine.
That's yours?
Yeah.
Dude,
Does
that's
that back
badass.
does that back fat come with the tank or is that extra?
Ooh, no, that's
No,
extra.
you got to earn that.
Yeah, that
You
takes
got to
off.
earn that.
Dude, I like
Luckily,
that.
Hey, I have a question for
it's for sale.
Drifter, I guess, because it's kind of been a minute since we've had Drifter on. So, a question for Drifter: would you say that Four for the Road is more motorcycle club based on like protocol, or is it motorcycle? I think it's culture. And what do you? Because I think we love the culture, and I think there's so much more than just protocol. But would you say it's more protocol based or culture based?
Well, which platform are you talking about? The
Four
podcast?
Four for the Road in general.
Ooh, see, I really have to break it down by platform. Like the TikTok, Four for the Road TikTok is jokes and fun and a little bit of protocol and culture, right? You know, the Instagram, that's all about connecting with all the people out there, especially the independent guys that are doing their own thing. That's all about connections. And the Facebook page is, history, short stories, protocol. That's everything. And then this podcast, I think that's more the motorcycle culture. That's the whole kitchen sink, everything involved to do with motorcycle clubs and motorcycle riding.
And I would argue that we have, for the most part, the dudes that talk maybe specifics in protocol and teach some of the newer guys about it, or people that are just curious. It's again, I'm sorry, I don't want to beat this fucking horse. I know it's dead, but it's okay to be curious, and you're not giving away CIA secrets if you tell somebody that a protocol is taking off their gloves or taking off their sunglasses or turn. That's not giving away trade secrets. That's not club talk for somebody that's interested. Now all of a sudden they go to their first party, they turn down their stupid ass radio. We all benefit. Okay, that's not trade secrets in that protocol. But I really think that the guys that do that kind of information, with a few exceptions, are the club guys. And I think the guys, we have national officers of 1% clubs. We have guys that have been doing this for decades. And then I think some of the motorcycle history, which anybody can talk about. If you think motorcycle history is protocol or specific to a club, I'm sorry, you're an idiot, and I disagree with you, because history is for everybody to appreciate,
Even the
and
bad history.
even the bad history. And I think that there's a good mix of guys that aren't, maybe that are looking at their next club, like myself. I came from something, and I don't know where my journey is going to take me next. Maybe I stay independent forever, but I don't really talk about protocol stuff. I talk about the culture. I talk about what I love. Ken and I, we talk about the history. And I think so that's kind of something that's broken up, and maybe that bites us in the ass sometimes because people just lump us all in together. I don't really know.
I don't think people lump us in together.
What do you mean, like each rider or this page with all the other?
Well, the page. If Four for the Road puts out a protocol piece, maybe somebody sees it as everybody talking about that at Four for
Oh,
the
they do.
Road,
Yeah, they
versus just the fact that Silent One Percenter said that protocol piece. Where I wouldn't. I don't think that I would venture into the lane of talking about some of the topics Silent says, because I don't have
Same
that
here.
experience. That's not my lane. If I want to talk about history or what I love about the culture, that's completely different. But I think sometimes people don't see that. They just see Four for the Road.
Yeah, but we're also not in charge of managing people's perceptions of what they're reading, right? Like we put out whatever it is we put out, and then every one of us sign it at the bottom. Whether it's, if it's Dave's article, Dave's going to sign it at the bottom. If it's mine, you're going to see my signature at the bottom. But it's not after that. After I deliver you the information, unless I was extremely vague on some part, I'll get in the comment section, I'll correct myself, or I'll say, "Hey, thanks for bringing this up, citizen. here's where I was trying to go with this. But no, I don't think we're it's our responsibility to manage people's perceptions of what's put out.
It's
If you're
not. It's not. I
if
agree with
you're
you.
too lazy to see that, this is something that Ken said or that Drifter
And
said,
I
and
would
then
love to end the negativity. I'm certainly not looking there's nobody that internet beefs are stupid, and I completely agree with anybody that has that. I think other pages beefing, we had
Yep.
kind of a tiff or whatever, a bad breakup with Sucker Free, and even that I'm over. I think it's stupid. The negativity is stupid. If you have a criticism for us, though, I have a hard time walking away from that. I'm like, bring me the proof. Bring me the proof. And I feel also like worrying about it is dumb. It's just I think it's a human instinct to do that though, because it's the same reason we started this page. We wanted a platform to counteract the bad narratives, and maybe that's why we get criticism sometimes that we try to just make clubs all sunshiny and shit. Is because we are looking to counterbalance the negative or the spins and stuff like that. I could totally see that, but there's enough people out there spending their time in a negative ass headspace. I'd rather come here and like talk positive shit about things that we love.
Well, I think the perfect spot that this podcast is settled into, actually from day one, because it started like this. If you guys remember, uh, it's just a bunch of guys that have been riding around all day, and then they stop, they have a little campfire, and what would it sound like to hear them talk? And remember, this whole podcast started because Dave and I were sitting around a little campfire talking about who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of motorcycle people. And then you said,
and
we
then
should
Ken
record this.
and Ken came along and made it all possible. So, anyways, yeah, I don't need any. Jim, thank you though. Thank you. That was great, Jim. I don't need no credit for that.
No,
But
you don't. Shut up.
no, and that was I think that's probably the highest accolade that we can get is when we have people writing in saying, I was driving in my truck because I live in Wisconsin and there's like 33,000 foot of snow, so I can't ride my bike. I was listening to your podcast and I found myself responding to some of your comments and questions to each other, realizing that I was listening to a podcast on my phone and not actually driving somewhere with four of my friends.
And
And
I think
for me, that's the biggest accolade we can get.
Oh yeah.
one of the and let's go around the table now and talk about. All right, so that was Ken's accolade. Jim, what's yours?
My accolade for what?
What's your like the best I guess return value? The accolades or the accolades. Whatever.
Oh,
Ken can
okay.
use that term, but
Well,
what's kind of the best thing you've gotten from this?
What gets your dick hard doing four for the
There you go.
only when you're showing those guns, baby.
fucking? You want to see these bad boys?
No, I do not put those
Yeah.
back. Put your pants back on, God damn.
Dave's seen that.
So anyway,
Remember that one time I flashed my nuts on camera? Anyways,
yeah, I do.
you were there.
Yeah. So I think it changes. 1 week it'll be this, 1 week it'll be that. Right now, it's all the questions we've gotten in the inbox. Guys that really have no experience, or even experienced guys that, and they specifically say, "Hey, I don't want to sound like an idiot asking, these motorcycle clubs, but you guys put it out there. You make this a place where I can come and I can ask my stupid question and get, a learned answer." So that's really what I like for this week.
And again, for I guess the critics, that's not club business. Somebody asking a question helps them not waste their time. It helps them. We had a guy in the inbox the other day, and I was like, I would rather have you wait on something than go after something just because you're interested and have it leave a bad taste in your mouth. And that's just my opinion. But I would much rather have you ask a question, or the guy that was on our comment section and he got people a little riled up. He- I don't I don't think necessarily that he deserved to get any slack from other people. I mean, I could get why people would maybe be upset, but I would rather have him come here in the Thunderdome of the internet where consequences are make believe for the most part, and ask his question here on this platform and get a good answer and an educational answer. And he was so respectful and so nice, dude. He was awesome. Then to go up in a bar and be like, "Hey man, I heard this about your club." Now all of a sudden he gets socked in the mouth. Now he's got a bad perception on clubs and he really didn't mean anything by it. And you say, well, that's his fault for asking that question. Okay. Other than getting punched in the mouth, what's another option for him to learn? And maybe that's what we provide. And I think
I think it is.
what gets what gets my penis hard is
You can
hanging
say
out with
dick.
other
No,
is
no, no. You
hanging out
can
with
say
other
dick.
is hanging out with other dudes. But the fact that like the different clubs, the independents, the people that we have been able to ride and hang out with because of this podcast is the validation that I love. That's the only amount of riding with Drifter, you know, going and seeing Ken, talking to, having a conversation with Silent, going to the Harley Museum with Professor, the countless other people, the large nations, the independent clubs, the whatever clubs that we've been able to ride with, talk to, hang out with, have a drink with. That's the validation for me. That's what I enjoy the most about this page because it says that real dudes appreciate what you do. And there are less than a dozen pages out there that discuss motorcycle clubs or the culture around clubs that ride. Like look at all these pages with guys that talk about it, but they don't really ride.
Oh yeah. Yes, indeed.
But then there are, and again, if you're listening and you want to critique, I didn't say all. I said there's, maybe a dozen or less that
Are they
actually ride, and the rest don't.
are they right in a little vacuum? They go, their little 20-mile radius, and that's all that they do. That's all that they know.
And you'll see Four for the Road at clubhouses. We at we say if there's a big party. I mean, if we just go to hang out with people we met, we don't advertise that because apparently you have to clarify on the internet. But if there's a large known party and we're going to be there, we say that, hey, we're going here with so and so's club, and this is the party that's going on. We'll be there. If we go to Sturgis, we said it. If we go to Daytona, we've said it. If we're on a long
Crazy
cross
gentlemen.
country trip by ourselves, we've said it so that people can come out and fight us if they didn't like something we said, or let us buy them a drink if they were an awesome contributor in the inbox, or so we can learn about their club history. You know how many people have reached out to us to like tell us an awesome story about their club history? That's amazing to me. And that is the root of Four for the Road. It's not club business, it's culture. And there's a fucking huge difference.
Absolutely, man. And dude, like I met so I was actually at a clubhouse.
Ooh, do tell, do tell. Did you
Oh
take
yeah.
pictures?
Oh yeah.
So let me get you the government names and social security numbers
Yeah.
of everybody that was there. No, I was at a clubhouse last weekend. I was asked to speak on behalf of Four for the Road, actually. And just the importance of protocol and what the world could look like if everybody followed protocol and worked cohesively as a unit instead of just mean mugging everybody at the bar. You know, um, dude, it was fucking phenomenal speaking with this group of men in this room. There was a couple different clubs there, and it was just fucking awesome. First, like you could just tell that there was just nothing but respect and admiration for everybody that was there. From the
Yeah.
dominant to
Did
everybody
you
else.
get a free beer?
I did.
Okay, then we're good.
Somebody that we know gave me a drink card, and I was very appreciative, and I used it a couple times. I was feeling good by the time I left. Um, my shoulder didn't hurt, that's for sure. Um, but yeah, dude, and then just the feedback we got from them was fucking awesome. It's just like, dude, like it's kind of weird seeing you in person because I only hear your voice on the fucking YouTubes and then I read your articles. I was just like, yeah, dude. So like, what's up? What do you ride? Like, tell me about your bike. And then your social and where you hang out at and what your club secrets are. But
So
but
bouncing off that, I have a little different topic. So because we all write and we're on the podcast, our name has kind of gotten out there. I got to tell you, it's a little weird when people come up to you that you don't know, but they feel like they know you, and I enjoy it, but it's takes some getting used to. It really does.
100%, 100%. I don't, Dave. How many times does that happen to you?
A few. Mostly, it's like guys that I've made a connection with, like through the inbox, and then following each other back on Instagram ahead of times. It happened at Mama Tried. There was a guy that came up and was like talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, Ken's gay. Haha. Let's laugh about that because it is awkward because like it's not, to me, anybody can do what we do. If you have an interest in motorcycles, if you have an interest in the history of clubs, if you're in a club and you want to help guide the next generation, you too can have a podcast. I promise. And so I think it's a little bit weird because I don't feel like we just decided to do it. We're not really doing anything out of the ordinary. So for like guys to come up and say like, "Oh man, I love what you're doing" and stuff like that, I'm like, "Thank you," because it doesn't feel like you. It just feels like nothing. It doesn't. Maybe because we're not trying to monetize it, or maybe because there's really other than like don't disrespect something that we worked hard at. If we're not disrespecting you, other than that, there's really not a whole lot of stuff that I want in return for doing this. So it makes it a little bit weird. I'm just like, you should start one too, bro.
Yeah, hey, and if somebody's interested in starting it, hit us up. I'll walk you through how I did it for the low price of $2,000. And no, seriously, I'll help you set it up. It's not fucking hard.
And I think you bring us
But
to a really great spin-off point. I don't think that the water is full of club podcast or culture. Let's call it culture podcast. If you have more people getting together talking about club podcasts or talking about not club podcast, I'm sorry, I fucked that up. Culture and why they love it and what they are excited about in motorcycle clubs or what they hate about clubs. I think there's room for that. If you're just a fucking shark trying to make money off the life and you're not going to parties, you're not going to it, you don't even have to be in a club. All right. Say you don't have to be in a club to talk about motorcycle club culture. But if you're not going to events, you're not going to parties, you're not hanging out with club dudes, you're not a hang around, you're not thinking about being a hang around, or you haven't been in a club before, or you're trying to monetize off the life and all this other stuff, and you think there's a difference. Does that make sense?
yeah, 100%, man.
But if you're just a dude that loves the culture and wants to talk about it, you should fucking
fucking
do
do it.
that.
Fucking do it. I mean, and it's like you said, man. It's not like we're fucking giving out fucking secrets or anything like that. We're not. Oh well, this person in this club, like they're over here hanging out at this bar doing this and nefarious activities. It's not like we're fucking doing that, man.
Hmm.
Like predominantly, what we fucking talk about is history. We talk about how we enjoy loving our brothers and how we like to spend our fucking time and shit like that. It's not like we're out here just be like, so this is how you sell a gram of cocaine. It, or even other shit like talk about specific club business. Like it happens. Okay, cool, right? Some people fuck up and let some shit slip, but we don't. I mean, especially on the fucking show. And I'm all for having more people come on board and doing this shit with us. Whether it's on staff at Four for the Road, whether it's doing your own fucking thing, whether you want to start your own fucking history and protocol page, because maybe Four for the Road isn't hitting certain wickets that you want to talk about, or maybe your other favorite fucking protocol page isn't hitting certain topics that you want discussed. Start your fucking own, dude. Be the change you want to see in the world. However, I just ask you keep it positive because there's already enough negative shit out there.
I
You
don't even
can
care if
Google.
you like keep it positive, but be involved. If you're going to have a podcast and talk about uh, baseball culture, football culture, motorcycle culture, the clubs, if you're going to talk about crocheting, I don't give a shit, but you better go to events about crocheting. If you're going to talk about motorcycles, I want to see you riding your motorcycle. And everybody that follows Four for the Road has seen us either through our personal social media or on the page or whatever, has seen us at events, has seen us riding our motorcycles, has seen us in states that are not our own, because will post that when we can and when appropriate, etc. So if you're going to talk about something, I need you to also live the life. And again, for clarification, living the life doesn't mean you have to be a one percenter. Doesn't mean you have to be in a club. You can appreciate the history and the culture of this shit and figure out where you fit in. That is okay.
Yeah, and we say it all the fucking time. There ain't nothing wrong with being a professional fucking hang around or a professional supporter. There's a couple of clubs out there where they have dudes that ride that own like a taco truck or something like that. That when they're having parties, they'll pull the fucking taco truck up.
Blah, 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 blah.
Fucking all over that one. Yeah, I haven't even been drinking today. But
That's
like,
the problem.
and so that way the hang around gets a little bit of money, in his pocket from his business. But then he's also supporting a cause that he loves, that he enjoys. There ain't nothing fucking wrong with that. But and just to clarify though, what I meant by like keep it positive is don't just fucking find these news articles and then bash on everybody that you fucking read about, because I can Google a million fucking things that was spun by the fucking media, and I could spend my days making money instead of recording Four for the Road. I could record like dickhead floorboards and fucking make money off of that shit.
And just read the
And
newspaper
you,
article.
and don't get caught up in what other people are doing. I know I'm guilty of that sometimes. I'm sure the page as a whole maybe sometimes is. Like I heard this ridiculous thing the other day, like where you need a background or it's better to have a background. Sure, it's better to have a background in media if you're going to do a podcast, but that's dumb as shit. Like literally anybody can do a podcast nowadays, and you can talk about media. You can do this, you can do that. You don't need a background in it. You need a background in it if you want to monetize it and snake the culture for cash, sure. But otherwise, you don't need a background in media to talk about something you're passionate about. That's why it's called a lifestyle or a hobby or what people are, this is not a hobby, this is my lifestyle. You know what the fuck I mean. It's something that you are passionate about. You don't need a background in social media, podcasting, whatever to talk about it. If you have a group of people and you think there's an audience to reach about what you're passionate about, talk about it. And that's kind of the original intent of Four for the Road. We kind of came here and got on Four for the Road because we got tired of somebody else telling us that we were this or we were that, or it's this way or it's that way. And so we came here to get away from that. And I think, hopefully that we don't lose that mission. As sometimes you go through ups and downs, and we lost a whole bunch of our work, and sometimes there's negative interactions with negative ass people. I think as long as we have our compass, and Drifter's obviously our compass.
What?
He really is, man. That motherfucker knows where to hide the body.
Yeah, like when I'm out on a Friday night doing drugs, I'm like, man, would Drifter be approving of this right now? And then I'm like, you know what? All right, fine, I'll stop.
I won't be doing these drugs. I'll be doing those drugs.
Yeah, and I know somebody's going to take that piece, and that's the only thing they're going to hear in this podcast. I'm like, see, they were talking about drug use.
We're going to change it from Four for the Road to Fathers Know Best. How about that?
Like, I feel like the guys too, not always, again, I'm generalizing, but like, oh, the feds are paying attention to your podcast.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they're not.
No.
All right. I promise you that there's no Fed assigned to this podcast to monitor it or any other one. That's ridiculous.
Jerry's awfully bored.
Yeah. And number two, unless you're posting about club fights, which we certainly don't post videos of club fights, other pages do, they're going to be really bored learning nothing that they don't already know. Look, they already know what clubs are where. They probably know more than you do about what clubs are up to, and they're probably already more embedded into following that club that they're interested in than anything anybody's ever going to put out. And we don't put ourselves in that position anyway, so people are just going to they would be bored. But if it makes you feel better to talk in this secretive society like the feds are watching my podcast or any other podcast, fine, whatever gets your jimmies off. But you're wrong. Unless there's like a Fed making the podcast, then maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I think there's one other aspect here that, as far as this whole "you don't talk club business" thing, a lot of clubs, as you know, have been really burned by media. They come on with good intentions and they're lied to by the media about what the end product is going to be. So I think that plays a little bit into it. Honestly, though, with Four for the Road, you will never run across that problem at all. Just look at our past work, and that'll tell you what our future work will be like.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you that Four for the Road is out there talking secrets, ask them for the pudding. Where's the proof?
Pudding.
Because that's the thing. I think something that, again, why we started Four for the Road was kind of the transparency. We came from other places where, you shouldn't be as open and transparent about who you are because people will try to use it against you. And when we came to Four for the Road, we were like, no, that's not really true. If you're a good person and a good dude and you have positive content and you know your role or your lane, people are going to love and respect you for that. And so that's why we've done nothing but transparent names, backgrounds, all of that we've covered before. I don't need to cover it for you in every single podcast because we've covered it in plenty of other ones. So that was, again, kind of the mantra, the vision of Four for the Road: transparency and love of the culture.
That was another thing too. Is people saying like, "Oh, you're using your fucking patch for fucking legitimacy and fucking blah blah blah." It's like, well, first I ain't even got a fucking patch to use for legitimacy, so suck this dick. But no, when we were starting for the road, we wanted to be as transparent as possible, so you know what you're getting. You know at what level this is coming from. So if you're talking to one of our staff members that are in the chosen few, you know that you're talking to somebody from the chosen few.
That's club business, bro.
If you're if you're talking to Drifter, you know who the fuck you're talking to.
Which I
You know,
love
and
the
it's
I
not
love the I don't even know. Drifter's smarter than I. He probably knows the word, but I love the I guess the hypocrisy that you just pointed out. That if you say, let's say you take Ken makes a statement on this podcast. Hey man, what club are you with? What experience do you have that I should believe what you just said? Is how it's going to be taken. The other way it's going to be taken is if Ken's in the club, hey man, why are you trying to use your patch and your club name to validate what you're saying? Like, which is it, bro? Do you either want somebody that has the experience to tell you something so that you believe that it's coming from a knowledgeable source because they're in X, Y, and Z club? Or do you not want somebody in the club to tell you something so that they're not using their patch or their club name to teach you something? Like, which is it? And you're never going to make everybody happy is kind of what I've learned in the 80 some episodes that we've been doing this. But that's the biggest thing that one of the biggest things that kills me. If somebody tells you something good, well, what background do they have so that I know it's legit? And then they tell you, and then you're like, oh, well, see, now they're speaking for their club. And you're like, that's not what they said at all.
yeah,
No.
it's there, in a way it's providing you, the guy questioning what you're hearing, credentials.
Yeah.
Is okay, cool. You say that you want to speak to somebody who's been in the club scene for X amount of years minimum. You want to speak to a member of a 1% club and it has to be this way. Well, I could say, well, I'm a member of fucking XYZ club and I'm a 1%er,
Oh,
but
those are bad dudes, man.
those
Don't say
are dude, the XYZ MC, bro. You can't
don't say that.
fuck with us, ABC. You know what I'm saying? 1, 2, 3. But but I mean, I can tell you, hey, this is who I'm with, and this is what my experience in the community is, and you can use those are my credentials to speak on this subject. Or I can say, well, it's fucking club business, bro, and I fuck you because mean words. It's fucking stupid, man. So yeah, we collectively chose to disclose who we ride with, if we ride with anybody at all. I was in a mom and pop club when we started this. It was no fucking secret. And take it for what it's worth.
Well, like
You
Dave
know,
said,
there's other
show me where we've used our affiliation with anybody for anything. We
to,
haven't.
to gain favor. Yeah, fucking never.
Well, like Jim said, now to expand it, Jim said, show me where we've said you have to do it this way or you're wrong. Like we've never, I mean, unless you're like a cop trying to be in a diamond club or something, I don't think we've ever said, do it this way or you're wrong. We've had guys present scenarios. We've got guys, present maybe certain protocols. We've had guys, situational things, historical things, whatever, all of it to create a better community. Nobody's ever said like you have to do it this way is the only way.
Because there is no one way.
There is no one way. And I kind of fucking give myself props here, but like that guy in the inbox this morning, he was asking, he's in a newer 99% club that's unaffiliated. And he was wanting to know what the proper way of going about putting property of patches on their wives. And I say, hey man, like it's fucking super dope that your wives are wanting to support your club and the effort that you guys are putting into this is rad. But you were right in your statement that property of patches is typically reserved for diamond holders, and I've seen other variants of the property of patch, but it does kind of garner some weird looks when you do it that way. Best to just do it this way. This is an example, but then do with that information what you're gonna do. You want to tell punk rock to get fucked? All right, man, I'll go fuck myself. That's fine. Do your thing. Ain't my dental bill. I mean, hashtag TRICARE. I don't have a dental bill, but you get what I'm saying.
So what's the future? We're talking about day one.
I don't know. I think
Established that. What's
so.
our
I think
future?
something that nobody wants to talk about is that there's an end date 2-4 for the road.
You hush your mouth.
There's an end to
Okay.
it. This is not going to go on forever. Like there isn't a monetary aspect to this. So at one point it'll just, I don't know, will it just be like we decide to cut, are we going to cut it off gracefully and like walk away into the sunset
No,
after
there'll
we
be
win a
new
Super
people.
Bowl? Or are we
It'll be
going
like
to,
it'll
I
be
don't
like
know.
it'll be like those 1970s rock bands that were big in like 74, and then they all changed their lineups and none of the original guys are there, but they're still using the name. That's what it'll
You know,
I mean, how do you decide who to pass it off to? I guess if you want to take over 4 for the Road, inbox us.
be with a dollar amount, and we'll talk.
yeah. Just remember, there's 10 of us, and it's got to be lucrative for all of us. But no, man, I agree with Jim. I think that over time, we'll have writers here and there that are just like, hey guys, look, like this doesn't fit my schedule anymore, or hey, my nation has now changed its policy on this, and I have to step away, or hey, man, I'm just fucking tired of writing about the same shit every day. I want to just go ride my motorcycle with my brothers. And one by one we'll leave, and one by one we'll fill their seats and say, hey, look, man, you got big fucking shoes to fill. Good luck. And eventually one of the last of the originals are going to leave. It's similar. I look at that similar as a regular ass motorcycle club
I'll be here
that
forever.
was founded in the fucking maybe 1930 something. Those guys are long gone, but their fucking patch is still being flown. Their history is still being spoke about. Their mission's still being carried out. I think the same thing will happen with Four for the Road. I hope the same thing will happen with Four for the Road. The amount of fucking work we do for this fucking thing, I don't want to see this thing just sink.
Same here. No, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here for a long time.
Yeah, man. I mean, especially like when I get back to wherever the fuck it is I'm going, and I'm gonna have a whole bunch of new experiences to write about. So that's gonna
Yeah.
light a fire up under my ass again.
So for those that don't know, Ken is about to get transferred.
Yeah.
Let's hope he ends up where he thinks he's going to end up, because that's a whole lot closer to me.
And the nice thing about Ken transferring is that the community page that we have built here will allow him to meet new people there if he hasn't already. And that is I don't say end goal, but one of the goals of Four for the Road is to act as a community where people can interact and either meet up and ride and have fun, or they because again, this isn't all kumbaya. Like we get it. There are definitely things to consider in the club life and whatnot, but this is a community page where you can talk about what you absolutely hate about that political aspect of it, or the whatever aspect of clubs, or what you love about it. You can have a bitch session here, and as long as it's done in an appropriate way to complain about something, I think there's a chance for good dialogue. Like we saw guys that complained about an aspect of it, and there was good dialogue that was had, and that's not wrong. And if you have a platform and you're trying to tell people that having a discussion about what they love or what they don't like is garbage, like you're wrong. The garbage is trying to profit off of the culture, and you're not active in it. You're not doing anything to make it better. Nothing. You're not riding to events. You're not promoting the culture. You're Jerry Springer of
Yeah,
the
that's it
motorcycle
right there.
community. That's
So
wrong. But having a community where people can talk, nothing wrong with that.
there's a difference between selling T-shirts, parts. Let's say you have your own bike shop and you love this culture and you're promoting and you're making money in the culture. That's okay, but it's whenever you are solely making money off of the information in the culture, so you have to sensationalize everything because that's what sells. That's what's really wrong.
Well, thank you, Jim, because you make me feel better about selling T-shirts.
I'm telling you, I like that design. I'm
I'll
gonna
send you
order
one.
I'll
I'll send you one. I gotta send our friend one, anyways. One of the
But I think
losers.
at the end of the day, just the people that have reached out to us and the places we've been invited to is the validation that says, we're doing something right, that people appreciate it. The internet's fucking ruthless, and the internet will see a kid, a child with cancer, and somebody will have some negative ass shit to say about a fundraiser you do for that kid. And that is just the nature of the internet. it's fucking ruthless. And so I try not to take maybe things that are said about us too personally. Your reputation probably, I don't know, I can't think of another place where your reputation matters more than the motorcycle community, the culture. So, I do probably take that maybe a little bit too seriously sometimes, and that's why, I get worked up when I see, especially these things that you can easily show aren't true, and you're just like, oh, I just want to speak out against that all day. But people don't want to hear that shit. They want to hear like, hey, I think people want to hear positive shit. They already know the bad happens. I think they want to come to a place and connect with a guy like Drifter so they can talk about motorcycle magazines where clubs are talking about an event that they went to together from the 19, what was it, the 40s?
40s, yeah.
Yeah, they want to read. They want to hear Drifter tell them more about magazine articles from the 40s or party
1942.
flyers from the 1940s. To people love that shit.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like nobody wants to have a negative ass day at work all goddamn day, and then come home and have their wife bitching at them, and then their fucking ain't shit kids being ain't shit kids, and then come on the internet and then hear about how another large part of their life ain't shit. They want to hear about how Jim's been. They want to hear how Jim's been doing. Like like we're forming like legitimate bonds, like personally with the community, which is fucking phenomenal, man. And
That's very true. I've made a lot
it,
of friends through this.
dude, I mean, I know what the work that we're doing is important, but I didn't realize how well it was received until I did, go to that event last weekend, and just like how it was received, how I was received, how I was treated, and I was just like, man, I'm just like some ain't shit motherfucker walking around here. I'm having people stop me and be like, "Hey, dude, like I really appreciate the show. I appreciate what you're doing." It's not just like I like your show. I think it's funny. It was, the work that you
There's
guys are
not
doing is
there's nothing
meaningful.
funny about motorcycle culture. Okay, we ain't got no time for no funny business. All right, we're here to be
No,
serious.
no.
You need to come to our party then.
And I think there's a group. I think there's a niche for dudes that want to flip the camera off every time and they want to mean mug. I think there's an area for that, and I support that. I think there's an area for dudes that want to have more fun. I think there's an area for that. I think there's an area like what Jim and his group of guys, all these different clubs are cultivating in that North Carolina, Virginia area and things like that. I think there's all of these things are necessary. All these things have their own positives. I think that there's just enough negative. You get on social media, people are going to be negative about everything. Like I said, the kid with cancer example, there's just whatever it is. Every news article it seems like that comes out is negative, and it happens like Ken said earlier. It happens in all walks of life. And if that's what you want to do for this motorcycle culture, is go and find negative articles. If that's your bag at the end of the day, man, fine. Go find those negative motorcycle
It's easy.
articles and read them. We all know what happens. I've never once learned a bit of information about so and so beefing with so and so or this fight that broke out and been like, man, I'm so glad I know that information. Never once. But I've learned about a party that I'm invited to or can go to or a run or a race that's coming up or a beer that I'm going to be able to have with somebody. I've been excited about that. Both are a part of the culture. But if you're getting jazzed up about the negative, I got some serious fucking questions for you. I
Right?
have some serious issues.
Absolutely, man. Like there's two men that I met through doing this. One I met through Dave. One I just met through Paige. But I'm pretty fucking stoked about hanging out with those guys soon at an undisclosed location. Like I'm these are pillars in the fucking community. These are men that are looked up to. These are men who command respect, and I want to learn from these guys. I want to have a beer with these guys. I want to share time with these guys. And that's what it's about, man. And I think I like how Dave said it. You can talk about it all you want, but maybe think about shutting the fuck up every once in a while if you're not out here living your life, living the life. If you're not out there going to runs, going to bike nights, going to this and that, fuck whatever. Maybe don't fucking talk about it.
And that counts. What Ken just said counts. If just because you don't have a patch on your back doesn't mean you can't be knowledgeable about the motorcycle culture, doesn't mean you can't love the culture, doesn't mean you can't hate the negative stuff of the culture or anything with the culture. But being active counts no matter what that looks like for you. It counts. And
It
people
does.
will respect it. People will respect you being genuine. And I think people know when you're fucking fake. They know when it's about you versus about something bigger than you. People know that shit.
Plus, you'll
Yeah.
just have a much better time.
Yeah, dude. Like if you go somewhere and you're just a negative motherfucker, like you're just gonna bring everybody else down. Nobody's gonna want to be around you, and you're gonna find yourself alone. But like, I
So
have
play with
not
the nice
had a
people.
single bad time around fucking Dildo Dave at all, ever, never, not once. Every time I've hung out with this motherfucker, it's been laughs, smiles, and miles. And then same for Jim, dude. There's that one time I rode that man's motorcycle, scared the shit out of me. Man took me to a bar, didn't get me loaded,
Yeah,
and then we got lost on the way home.
that
Oh, it was
didn't happen. I
fucking
knew exactly
freak.
where.
God. Yeah, yeah. Stopped right in the middle of the road. Be like, hey man, did you see what road that was? I'm not entirely sure I know where I'm at.
I don't
Nah, man,
remember.
I'm from San Diego and I just moved to Jacksonville. I have no idea where the fuck we're at. I know
Hey, you
we're
got
in
home.
Virginia.
You got
That's it.
home.
Yeah, we got home. Yeah, we did. We found it. We got it. We got it right. We got it
I think about all of the different clubs that are in my phone. And that's not a brag, but I think about the different clubs that are in my phone that I have a connection to personally. Like some of these clubs, they don't even get along. And I think that was a large part because I have a really great mentor that I talk to weekly, maybe daily, where I whether it's just memes or I send him, he sends me thoughts or I send him thoughts. We've tried to get him on the podcast. He kind of gave us a really great write up that we could read, but unfortunately his large nation just wouldn't let him on the podcast at the time. But I respect the hell out of him, and I know that he kind of talked to me about the aspect of if you have all these different folks that you're friends with, but you decide to go this route of joining this club and they clash, you're going to have to decide how you deal with that relationship versus how you are with your brothers and what's more important to you and maybe some of the animosity that could cause or the way it could be perceived. I mean, you have to think about all of these different things when you step to that level. And he's not wrong. He probably gave me the great, and I'm not going to go into all the details of it because we don't give details, but it was really some of the greatest advice about consider this before you do that. And if I love the fact that he took the time to do that because it really made me say, okay, I know I can complete this journey. I don't want to complete this journey, so I'm not even going to start. And that's why, when I moved from where I was to another club, I didn't even, or was thinking about moving from where I was to going up the ladder to another club. I decided not to. I'd made that decision not to because I was like, look, he's 100% right. I'm not going to be 100% all team this all the time because I love dudes over on this team. And I'm going to make that consideration because of that love I have for them. And I'm going to make the consideration because of the love I have for these guys over here. And that was the invaluable advice that he gave me that helped steer my decision. That is the same thing at a bigger scale, smaller scale, different scenario, whatever, that I think For the Road does for folks. And then maybe not necessarily the 11 of us. Maybe it's just somebody in the comments section talking about something, an experience that they had to somebody else. That's what
Well,
For the Road
I
does.
know we've had a very positive impact on a lot of people, and not just in the United States.
Yeah.
We've in Britain, Australia. I think we've had a very positive influence.
And we've had guys from Canada, from Australia say, look, I'm trying to come on the podcast. I've got to work it out with my club or whatever the things may be. And we understand that takes time. And so we know that there's some really great things that we want to be able to present eventually. We just got to let it run its course because, that's the respect that you give to that person and that club. But again, I think just looking at the names, the individuals that I have in my phone, like I take pride in that because those people said, you know what, I'm going to fuck with this guy. I'm going to hang out with him. I'm going to ride with him or have beers with him. I'm going to give him my personal number or whatever because of my character, because of the person that I am and that they were able to see. They decided that I'm somebody that is worthy of their time. And vice versa. Like it's not just because you're in a club, I'm going to give you my time. There's guys in clubs I don't give a shit about. But it's just that recognition that I value you and the experiences that you have and I want to learn from you or hear you talk. and vice versa. And so I think, that's probably one of the greatest things that I've taken away um, from Four for the Road. And I guess I'll hold my phone up to the screen now so the feds can see my contact list.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. Um, do you think that, let's say, because you do have all these positive relationships in the community, and some of your friends might not get along in public, but do you think that if you were to pick one side of the aisle or the other, that you could use that relationship for good, that
No,
maybe he'll mend
no,
things?
that's not my place. That's a
Yeah.
club level. That's so intricate and it's at such a high level. I think it would be great if people could do that, but you really have to have the support of the entire nation. I think there's that's why we have leadership. We have leadership to have that conversation, or hopefully you have leadership within the club to have that conversation. I think as an individual, especially a new guy level, for me to think that that's something that I'm going to do for that club, I think you're getting in for the wrong reasons. I think
Yeah,
that
sorry, I didn't mean like patch in day one and you're like, all right, guys, so check this out. I know
sure,
we have problems with fucking B Motorcycle Club, but
but
check this.
I know how to solve it. No, I
We're
think
gonna
if
be
you have
friends now.
I think I think if you have good leaders, you can work towards that. But it's a collaboration of so many different regions or chapters or leadership roles and things like that, and then having that conversation. And when you get into the history with some of them and how far back and rooted it is, it's such a complicated scenario that I think, if you're going into this thinking that, well, I'm going to keep these relationships or whatever, it's possible, but I think it's a little bit misguided. And at least in my mind, that's how I saw it. Like if I go this route, and again, if you're not in a club, how can you speak on club business? I'm telling you what my decision process was. Having these friends over here, but your club is here, and thinking, well, is this something where I would be able to keep these relationships or bridge this gap? Or maybe one day down the road, leadership will decide that we're not at each other's throats anymore. Or we all kumbaya and shit like that. That'd be great if it works out like that, but I didn't think that you could expect it to, or things like that. So I was like, you know what, I need to not step up, so I don't cross those affiliations.
And that's, dude, and I know you are passionate, very passionate about the motorcycle club community and the history and being part of that history. And I know that it took a long time, a lot of thought, and I know it was heavy, but like I commend you. Like that's a huge fucking decision to make. And yeah, like that, I'm sure there'll be other opportunities, whether it's with that club or with a different club. There'll be other opportunities down the line, but I just fucking bravo.
It's okay to be a one percenter. It's okay to be a support club. It's okay to be an AMA club. It's okay to be a 99 club. It's okay to be a Christian club usually. It's okay to be a military club. It's okay to be an independent and still have an opinion about motorcycle culture. Just do it properly. Do it like Jim. Do everything in your life like Jim does.
No, don't do that. You'll be broken in jail.
So, well, hey, I'm gonna jump in here and pull a Dave because we are at about an hour. So, Jim, it was really good to catch up with you, man. Do you have anything for our listeners before we take off?
No, just keep those questions coming. Keep the communication open. And for those of you that are looking at joining motorcycle clubs, get all your information and then just go to that club.
Yeah, make sure it's a good fit for make sure the culture is a good fit for you. Like that one dude said, this doesn't line up with my values. See how much time you saved that club and yourself? Perfect. That's a
100%.
great day. And that's what the internet can do for you. And that can help you when you walk up to that club and introduce yourself. It's not one doesn't replace the other. It's a cohesive unit.
It is. It really is. I just kind of want to piggyback on Jim here before we take off. Keep the questions coming, man. I for the last few months have been kind of in a funk when it comes to writing new material, and I didn't want to just keep posting all the same old shit that I would post. Except I took another stab at the prospect builders. That went over like a fart in church. Um, but seriously, that helps us out a lot too. Jim and I ended up fucking like 1-2 seeing a couple of those articles. Um, and they're pretty rad how that worked out. So
And if you are somebody that you think is interesting, if you think yourself is interesting, or you're in a club, or you have a great idea, tell us, and we'll see about, if we can work out a time to get you on the podcast. Like, this isn't like some I mean, if you're a fucking idiot and I can figure that out in talking to you, I'm not gonna let you have the podcast. But if you're legitimately an interesting person, a good dude, you have some sort of love or passion for the culture, the motorcycle club culture, whether it's history or you're in a club, whatever, tell us in the inbox, and we'll get you set up to come on the show. I mean, I think rather than just us always talking to each other, having a conversation with guests is a great fucking time.
I agree.
100%, and I think that's a great way to end the show there, man. Is to encourage some participation from the readers and the listeners. And again, guys, we appreciate all the love and support that you guys give us.
Maybe you
You
can
know,
call this you can call this episode positivity.
right
that sounds
after airing, right after airing Club Business. All right, so. All right. So but yeah, we're out of here until next week, y'all. Again, thank you guys so much. This shit is not easy, nor is it free, and we do it all for you guys. And then the feedback that we get, that's the payment that we that we need, that we strive for, is just being told that we're doing the Lord's work. So
Oh.
this is the this is the three of us signing off this week, and we'll catch you next week with some new shit.